Hello, welcome to Have Roots Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I am a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the past year, we've been looking at Les Filles du Roi, the King's Daughters. There are over 700 of them. We're on episode 125 today. We've got a lot. We've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. Before we begin exploring a new Fille du Roi, I want to remind you to subscribe, click on the notifications alert, like this video. All of that helps me out. If you're looking for previous videos, have a look at haverootswilltravel.com, my website, and on there you'll find the listing of the previous ones that I've done. You can just click on the link. When I post new content, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can friend me on Facebook on haverootswilltravel.com, and you'll get the notices saying that I've posted something new. So with that being said, let's get started, shall we? Our fille du roi for this episode, her name is Nicole Phillappeau, and she is a viewer request. I also have her in my client files as well. So let's have a look at Nicole's life. Unfortunately, we do not know really anything about Nicole and her previous life. We know she's from France, and we know she was born about 1655, but other than that, that's about it. So let's go and explore what we do know. So we do know that she did arrive on the Prince Maurice on July 30th, 1671. She's on that ship's manifest. So let's see who selected her and who she selected. So the groom that she selected, his name was Maître Gauthier d'Ilandreville, and he was born about 1643 in a commune, the commune of Léger, France. Remember, the commune means township. And his parents were Pierre Gauthier and Anne Lemaistre. Now, let's have a look at exactly where in France he's from. He's from the region of Pays de la Loire, which you can see in the circle here. And inside that region, I have circled the section, or the département, the county, if you want to call it, the Loire-Atlantique. And it's actually named after the River Loire and the Atlantic Ocean. So that's where it gets that particular name. But I also want to draw your attention to Pays de la Loire. Some of you may have different names coming up, and it is actually made up of the following historical provinces: Brittany, Anjou, Maine, Poitou, Perche, and Touraine. So if you see those names anywhere, you can say, oh, okay, that's where it is. Because part of the difficulty of doing genealogy in France is how much the places, they don't move, of course, but their names and their provinces, they all kind of shift around. So sometimes it's hard to find out where exactly is it. Now, Pierre would have been baptized probably in the Church of Notre Dame, found in Léger and built in the 12th century. So you can see on the left-hand side, it does look extremely old. And the castle of Loretel dates from the 14th through the 16th century and would certainly have been there when he was living in Léger. So that's kind of a neat thing if this is your particular ancestry. Now, unfortunately, sometime in 1671, Maître and Nicole were married. We believe on Ile Sainte-Thérèse, but we do not have the paperwork. We do not have a record of that. So let's get started and find out exactly where they settled. So they become among the first settlers of Ile Sainte-Thérèse. You can see that I've circled it on the left hand over there, just to show you kind of where it is in location to Montreal and all of that. It's also a very beautiful island. It is part of the, currently part of the municipality of Varennes, in case you're looking for it now. But in 1662, the island was given to Ignace Boucher, who was a son of Pierre Boucher, the governor of Three Rivers. The origins of the name Sainte-Thérèse is unknown, but it's mentioned for the first time. Probably refers to the new queen, Marie-Thérèse, but we don't know for sure. Pierre Boucher mentions this island in a pamphlet in 1664, and it really remains uninhabited by French settlers until 1667. And then in 1667, Michel Waubriand obtained permission to settle on the island and therefore became its first historic occupant. And now in 1672, he conceded we call that conceding, it means given, two lots on the west side of the island, one to a man named Maître Gauthier, our guy, and then the other to Antoine Auquet dit Le Picard. So these are the two main pioneer families, in addition to Boisbriand. And so many people are descended from this particular island, even though the island right now is not really an inhabited one. It's mostly used for recreation and that sort of thing. But this is where the family would settle. Now, I've clipped a part of the 1681 census. It tells you that Maître was 38. His wife was 12 years younger than him. Nicole, 26. Enfants, their children. Angélique, 10. Catherine, 8. Louis, 6. Louise, 5. Charles, 4. Marie, 3. Jeanne, 1. They have one gun. They have 4 bêtes à cornes, which, as you know, is, or might not know, are goats, 4 goats, and 9 arpents valaires. So they have about 6 to 7 acres of land. Well, they lived on an island, and I guess there wasn't much to do because they ended up having 17 children. So Angélique, let's go through the list. Angélique married Nicolas Mathieu Chaput and had 6 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Catherine married Nicolas Millet and had 4 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Anne would die in infancy. Louis would die at 19. The second Louis would marry Marie Marguerite Menard and have 4 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. He then married Marie Marguerite Benoit and had 4 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Charles married Barbe Gournay and had 6 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Marie married twice but did not have any children. Jeanne married Jean Langlois and had 10 children, 8 of whom made it to adulthood. Jean married Thérèse Morneau and had 8 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Marie-Anne married Jacques Godbey and had 10 children, but only 3 made it to adulthood. Marguerite married Ange Langlois and had 7 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Then we have one unknown child who died at birth. Françoise married Nicolas Cousson and had 4 children, 2 of whom made it to adulthood. She then married Jean-Baptiste Réaume and had 2 more children, both of whom made it to adulthood. Lambert married Marie-Catherine Phillappeau, and we do not know if they had children or not. Pierre married Marie-Anne Provost and had 14 children, 10 of whom made it to adulthood. Marie-Anne married Pierre, René Vaillant, and had 9 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Marie-Madeleine married Christopher Janson and had 5 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. That's astonishing, don't you think? Mazarin would pass away at age 68 on September 8, 1711. He is buried at in Varennes, so not on the island. They would have been celebrating 40 years of marriage upon his death. Nicole herself would pass away at the age of 61 on, 5 years later. They, in their lifetime, would have had 71 grandchildren that lived, and they would have an astonishing 185 descendants by 1729. And so that's just a remarkable couple who, really did much to populate this area of Quebec. So the legacy continues because the Gauthier name, of course, is a very prominent one in Quebec. And we have the website Famille Gauthier. And I've also included a Facebook group that's there as well. So I've included the link for you to have a look at if this is your descendancy and you want to connect with cousins and that sort of thing and find out more information. For further information and research on this particular Fille du Roi, and also you know, the other filles du roi you might have in your Quebec research. I have a couple, actually 6, that I really, really favor. La Société des Filles du Roi is a lineage society that focuses on les filles du roi. I've included a link. It's been going since 1994. I am a member and also the membership chairperson. And would encourage you to have a look at that. Even if you don't become a member, there's lots of good information. We have the Quebec Genealogical E-Society, which is a recent addition to Quebec research, but nonetheless really, really useful. I would encourage you to have a look at that as well. Nos Origines is a free website. It's kind of a group thing, so definitely look at that. Genealogical Quebec is a paying website, but for me, I couldn't do my job without it. And then we have Migration, which is also a free site, but I do donate to them because I want to make sure that they stay around. And so I donate through PayPal. But in this particular website, everything you ever wanted to know about Filles du Roi and the Gagne soldiers and all of that, the ships, so much information. Absolutely recommend it. And then the Facebook group page, Filles du Roi Descendants, over 5,000 now as I speak this, but just a remarkable community of very kind and generous souls. So absolutely have a look at that. Nicole and Martin would have an amazing life. Not only did they have 17 children and then live a relatively long life together, they also were pioneers in a region that is quite remote in Saint-Thérèse. By 1729, they would have that astonishing 185 descendants. But more than that, they lived a life that was truly remarkable in its consistency, in its stamina, in its, just trying to move forward. And you can see that in terms of their approach to life and their approach to their children, and you can feel it when you study their lives, that they were there to make a difference, and so they did. And for that, we thank Nicole for being one of those pioneer filles du roi who not only gave us so many descendants, but also lived a life that was a true embodiment of the kind of fierceness and family-oriented values that predominate the filles du roi, that really exemplify the filles du roi. So for that, we thank her for her contribution, and we bless her memory, and we thank her. Until I see you on episode 126, au revoir.